1,000 young African leaders come together during their 6-week study program in the United States to share their experiences before returning home.
In South Sudan's second-largest city, some displaced residents are also on their way back home, helping restore their city to its former diversity and culture.
And in Senegal, students are learning web development, digital marketing and graphic design on their way to technology employment. Africa 54 starts right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Chamberlain Aso at Channels Television here in Lagos. Welcome to our show of stories from around the continent. I'm joined in the next half hour by my colleague at Voice of America in Washington.
Thanks, Esther Gidui. You are in Studio 51 here at VOA World Headquarters in the U.S. Capitol. We start this week with a report from Nigeria's northeast. Chamberlain has details from Lagos.
The Nigerian military chiefs are dealing with a resurgence of Boko Haram attacks after some respite following the relocation of the Military Command and Control Center from Abuja 2 years ago. While acknowledging that the war is not over, the Chief of Army Staff says the target is to eliminate Boko Haram's remnants. Here's our report.
Nigeria's military chiefs arrived in Maiduguri less than a week after the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo's order that they return to the command and control center of the ongoing war against Boko Haram. It appears it's back to the drawing board for the top defense chiefs, who now have the task to re-strategize on ways to bring an end to renewed attacks.
The service chiefs have commenced the command and control of the operations from the Military Command and Control Center in Maiduguri, where we are. This move and action is expected to give impetus to the military efforts in the Northeast operations.
Boko Haram attacks have been on the increase, especially after an announcement by the military of a 40-day ultimatum for the capture of the group's leader, Abubakar Shekau. The Chief of Army Staff, while addressing officers and men of the Nigeria Army at the office of the GOC 3 Division in Damaturu, Yobe State, another hotbed in the region, says the crimes being perpetuated by the remnants of the insurgents must be brought to an end.
There are still more tasks to be done to stabilize the situation and also to clear the remnants of the Boko Haram terrorists. No time for us to rest. We must continue to work very closely with other security agencies, and then we must continue to remain on the alert at all times.
The Boko Haram insurgency, which began 8 years ago, drew international condemnation in 2014 when over 200 schoolgirls were abducted from Chibok in Borno State, followed by the worst insurgency casualty figures recorded in 2015, just before the beginning of the Buhari administration, leading to one of his first decisions as Commander-in-Chief to relocate the military command center from Abuja to Maiduguri. Many critics say the gains made in the war against Boko Haram could have been sustained better, but the military is determined to consolidate on progress made and finally bring an end to the war against a group they say has been largely defeated.
Well, continuing now with the conversation about fighting Boko Haram, we're joined by security analyst Chidi Wanu. Welcome to Africa 54.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Now, it did appear at the time that the relocation of the theater command to Maiduguri proved the turning point in two years ago. Do you expect the same results this time around, having been given that order by the acting president?
Well, one would hope that the Nigerian army or the Nigerian military would have learned the lessons from the previous campaign, which was moderately successful in pushing back Boko Haram. Now, the relocation of the service chiefs to Maiduguri last time, I wouldn't put that as one of one of the causes of the success. What was more important was the fact that command was finally unified. So the 3 divisions, 7 division, and 8 division were all under a single commander, who then also had the Air Force and everybody all under the same command. Sending the service chiefs to Maiduguri themselves doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference is what actual effect or what changes they implement while they're there.
Do you think we've overcome, or should we take it for granted that we can now successfully procure arms without any embargo?
Well, the reality is that Nigeria was never under any arms embargo. It was just a convenient talking point for the last administration to claim that Nigeria was under embargo. A particular weapon system, the Cobra attack helicopter, was Nigeria was prevented from buying it from Israelis. And to be brutally honest, from an economic point of view and from a military point of view, we didn't need those helicopters. They were expensive, they were obsolete, and they would not have changed anything really. Recently, we've heard that a deal to buy 12 Tucanos from America has been approved by the Trump administration. Now, those aircraft are perfect for what we need. Unfortunately, however, the price tag that seems to be attached to these is completely out of range for what we're buying. So what's the questions that we should be asking are we buying the right weapon systems? Are we buying them for the right price?
The way the fight or the dimension is taken now, some say it's asymmetrical, it's not the outright conventional warfare. Do you think that we can, at least maybe sooner rather than later, win this war, or it may be with us for a while to come?
Well, definitely the war is not going to end this year. It's not going to end next year. This is a war that's going to last for 5, 10, 15 years. And I give those timescales as conservative timescales. And that 5, 10, 15-year timescale is if we're doing everything right. It's still going to be a long war. If we're doing things wrong, as unfortunately we seem to be doing now, it's going to last a lot longer than that. So the reason why I give this answer is that Boko Haram was defeated as a military entity and pushed away from, their safe areas. The follow-up to that would have been a relentless pursuit of them, to keep pursuing them, to keep attacking them wherever they run to. So they were defeated in Sambisa and then ran away to Ran, in Kalabalga, on the Cameroonian border, to the Mandara Mountains. The objective then should have been to keep pursuing them until they have nowhere else to run to. Unfortunately, we sat back, declared victory, and then we're surprised when they've now counterattacked using the rainy season.
What do you think about some impression that some people have about us also tracing terrorism financing, and perhaps until we begin to name some of the sponsors, we may not be making the kind of headway that we require?
It's a very good question. I mean, there's two issues in relation to terrorist financing. Right now, Boko Haram finance is not something that you're going to stop from sitting in an office in Abuja. It's very low-key, it's very it's essentially taking advantage of the kind of informal economy that exists in Nigeria, particularly around Nigeria border areas. Goods like cattle, fish, even agricultural produce like, tomatoes, grains, wheat, things like that. This is what Boko Haram uses right now to make their money. Boko Haram's finances are not something that go through bank accounts or banking systems. It's always going to be a manner of very low-level policing. All right,
then, security analyst Chidi Wanu, thank you for joining us today on Africa 54.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Kenya's August 8th elections has several fresh faces. The political newcomers include a rapper seeking a seat in parliament, a businessman running for president, while a prominent activist is promising to improve the governance system from within. VOA's Lenny Ruvaga joined activist Boniface Mwangi on the campaign trail in Nairobi.
Yes, we are coming back. From the protest march to the campaign trail, Kenyan anti-corruption crusader Boniface Mwangi is now looking to join the system he has spent a decade railing against. The 34-year-old hopes to bring greater accountability.
I'm tired with bad politics, I'm tired with bad leadership. I grew up in Starehe where I'm running, and there's a lot of bad leadership. School playgrounds are being grabbed, markets are being grabbed, our young people have no jobs, and I want to go to parliament and fight for those people.
Last year, Mwangi was leading anti-government protests. His gateway to activism was his work as a photojournalist covering the 2007-2008 post-election violence. Now Mwangi leads his 4-month-old Ukweli party, which is Swahili for truth.
I don't think, as a young person who believes there's bad leadership, don't let money, lack of money, or lack of a popular name or a big name, or lack of a big political party stop you. Because complaining about bad leadership is not enough. You need to go beyond complain, do something about it. That means that you run for public office. Please do that.
Mwangi has never held public office, but he is not without supporters.
He has a track record fighting for the rights of the common man. Before joining politics, he fought against legislators increasing their salaries and land grabbing. Basically, assessing him is easy, unlike other politicians.
Two main alliances dominate Kenya's political landscape, and it remains to be seen how newcomers like Mwangi will do. Lenny Ruvaga for VOA News, Nairobi.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, a young Ethiopian immigrant in the United States has founded a project to give back to her country of birth. That story after the break.